Welcome to this week's edition of NFL Previews and Picks. Tonight, the season opens with the New Orleans Saints visiting the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The Packers got lucky last year, losing 15 players to injury and still finding a way to win the championship. The Saints lineup has changed a bit, trading Reggie Bush to the Dolphins and adding former Alabama star Mark Ingram. This game has the potential to be one of those whomever gets to 31st wins. I'm going with the Saints. On Sunday, September 11th, the Atlanta Falcons visit the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Jay Cutler has been working on his footwork this offseason, and that could pay dividends at some point. His offensive line needs to keep him upright in order for this high-powered offense to really work. We won't know that until he has to see live opposing defenses coming at him at full speed. There's no question about the Bears' defense, even though they may be getting a little bit old. Atlanta wants to run the ball with Michael Turner, but don't fall asleep because Roddy White and rookie Julio Jones will be streaking down the field, waiting for Matty Ice to deliver a perfect spiral. The Bears win in a close one. At Cleveland Browns Stadium, the Cincinnati Bengals come in to play the Cleveland Browns. For Cincy, the Palmer boys were run out of town, and the Andy Dalton era starts. If he can rely on Cedric Benson to run the ball, that will take some of the pressure off. As for Cleveland, Colt McCoy begins his second year at the controls. He has Peyton Hillis in the backfield with him to carry the rock. The key against Cincy will be stopping the run. If teams can do that, then it forces Dalton to make the right decisions. Is he ready for that? Doubtful. Cleveland wins in a low-scoring game. At Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, the Buffalo Bills come in to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills traded receiver Lee Smith, leaving Steve Jackson as the number one outside weapon for Ryan Fitzpatrick. On defense, the Bills will also look different without Paul Posluszny at linebacker. Kansas City was one of last year's surprise teams. For KC, Matt Cassell has Thomas Jones in the backfield to carry the rock, and Dwayne Bowe, who really got it going last year, on the outside catching passes. Their defense is led by Big Glenn Dorsey. Kansas City lost offensive coordinator Charlie Weis, so they will be learning yet another new offense this year. For that reason alone, I'm giving the ever-so-slight edge to the Bills. At the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis, the Philadelphia Eagles come in to play the St. Louis Rams. Michael Vick comes in carrying high expectations after last year's success. They have LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson back. This is the second year with this group, so they should be hard to beat. Speaking of second years, Sam Bradford begins his second year at the controls for the Rams offense. He still has Steven Jackson in the backfield with him. It's always good for a young quarterback to have a security blanket he can count on. This game could be fun. You know, the Eagles are going to look for the big play whenever possible, and the Rams should make strides after last year. I think the Eagles will take this one. At Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, the Detroit Lions come in to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Lions looked almost unbeatable this offseason, and Ndamukong Suh may be the best football player in the league right now. Tampa looked good last year, but will still be the third best team in their division. Josh Freeman looks like the real deal, but this week will not be easy. He may spend much of the time running for his life. The question for the Lions is, can Matt Stafford stay upright? Hey, offensive line, that's your job, last time I checked. With Stafford behind center, the offense has a chance to be a great complement to what already looks like a near-great defense. Sorry, Bucs fans, the Lions sleeps no more and wins tonight. At Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida, the Tennessee Titans come in to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, these two teams will most likely be battling for third place in the division. Tennessee has gone through many changes. No more Jeff Fisher. In comes Mike Munchak. And no more Vince Young. In comes Matt Hasselbeck, at least temporarily, while Jake Locker gets his footing in the league. Let's not forget Chris Johnson. He will probably be a bit rusty since he sat out training camp. The Jags are in much the same situation. Luke McCown takes over at quarterback with the release of David Garrard, but Blaine Gabbert may be the starter before season's end. Jags win. At M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, the Pittsburgh Steelers come in to play the Baltimore Ravens. These two teams don't like each other at all, but are mirror images of each other. They want to pound the ball on offense and pound anyone they can on defense. The Steeler offense is centered around Big Ben Roethlisberger, either throwing to Hines Ward or Mike Wallace, or handing off to Rashard Mendenhall. On defense, the James Harrison, Troy Polamalu-led defense is fast to the ball and wants nothing more than to inflict pain. For the Ravens, it's much the same formula. Joe Flacco wants to hand the ball off to Ray Rice or newly acquired Ricky Williams, while the Ray Lewis-led defense hits and hits again. Low-scoring game here with the Steelers coming out on top. At Reliant Stadium in Houston, the Indianapolis Colts come in to play the Houston Texans. Of course, the big story here is Peyton Manning not playing. That changes everything for the Colts. After all, this is his team and his offense. Nobody runs it quite like he does. There is no way newly acquired backup Kerry Collins can master the intricacies of this offense in the short time he has been in camp. The Texans look to make strides from last year, with the offense starting to click with Matt Schaub and Arian the Hammy Tweeter Foster, and the growing defense. This is a team not to be taken lightly. Just one word about Foster's tweet. What was he thinking? Okay, I got that out of my system. Everyone who has paid any attention to my picks knows I'm a Peyton Manning guy. But without him, behind Jeff Saturday, I have to give the Texans the victory. At FedEx Field in Washington, the New York Giants come in to play the Washington Redskins in a NFC East battle. The Redskins are almost completely remade from last year. Rex Grossman is now your starting quarterback, and Tim Hightower, formerly of the Cardinals, is your running back. On defense, Albert Haynesworth is no longer there to give Mike Shanahan a constant headache. The Giants really didn't do much this offseason, which might have some of their fans scratching their heads. Thus, what you have is the same. What you have this year is the same thing you had last year. Eli Manning still leads the offense, but he is certainly no Peyton, even though he will tell you he is an elite quarterback. On defense, Osi Umenyiora was almost a huge distraction in demanding a trade and then finally coming to camp. The Giants have a great defense, but if they want to even think about being great, Osi Umenyiora has to be there. I think there is new hope in Redskin Nation this year, and the Skins take this one. At Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the Seattle Seahawks come in to play the San Francisco 49ers. The new-look Seahawks come in to face the 49ers. Matt Hasselbeck is gone. In comes Tavares Jackson. Hasselbeck may be on the downside of his career, but Jackson is definitely a downgrade in the most important offensive position on the field. For the 49ers, head coach Jim Harbaugh, a former quarterback himself, has settled on Alex Smith as his starter, saying that he has really grasped the West Coast offense. Smith has been in the league for 7 years and has never gotten the job done. Not sure what Harbaugh is actually seeing in this guy. The Niners' defense could rattle Jackson, another one of those run-first quarterbacks. Niners win. At San Diego, Qualcomm Stadium, the Minnesota Vikings come in to play the San Diego Chargers. The Chargers' offense is centered around Phillip Rivers. He has a great arm, but I think sometimes his temperament gets the best of him. In Minnesota, there have been few changes. Gone is one old quarterback in Brett Favre, in comes another old quarterback in Donovan McNabb. McNabb pretty much got the shaft last year backfield to hand the ball off to. The Vikings defense is led by the always feisty Jared Allen. Philip Rivers will need to know where he is at all times because if Allen is allowed to run around the edge, Rivers will be seeing a lot of the turf at the park. San Diego wins. At Arizona University of Phoenix Stadium, the Carolina Panthers come in to play the Arizona Cardinals. Two teams starting young quarterbacks in the Panthers, Cam Newton, and the Cardinals, Kevin Kolb. Kolb, of course, has been in the league for a couple of years, and until Michael Vick took over in Philadelphia last year, he was really the heir apparent to Donovan McNabb. Vick ascended and Kolb became expendable. As for Newton, he is the controversial Heisman Trophy winner. Did he and his father broker a deal in return for his playing? Not sure what will happen, but with Reggie Bush having to return his Heisman Trophy due to improprieties, a precedent has been set. Count me as one of those who thinks that this story is far from over. I'm thinking 5 years. Anyway, back to the game. Arizona was already better than the Panthers, even without the quarterback changes. Cards fly away with the victory. Sunday night, the Dallas Cowboys come in to play the New York Jets at the newly named MetLife Stadium. This game will have a lot more meaning since it is on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 and is being played not far from Ground Zero. Do you remember where you were when you heard or saw the news? I know I will never forget, as long as I live. The Jets, under the leadership of Rex Ryan, have been to 2 consecutive AFC Championship games. Dallas had hoped to play in the Super Bowl last year at the Jerry Dome. That went down with the tubes with the injury to Tony Romo. Felix Jones will now be the featured back, and Dez Bryant looks to be the prime target outside. The Jets still have the Ryan coach defense, which will be flying all over the field. On offense, they have a new deep threat in Plaxico Burress. To run the ball, they still have Sean Green and LaDainian Tomlinson. Emotions will be sky high in this game, and it's the story of who will be able to control those emotions. I worry about the Jets coming out too high. If that happens and the Cowboys score early, they win the game. On Monday night, we have the opening doubleheader. The New England Patriots go into Sun Life Stadium to play the Miami Dolphins. This game is a complete mismatch from top to bottom. The Dolphins now have Reggie Bush in the backfield instead of Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams. That may mean the end of the Wildcat. This is the young team with possibly a lame duck coach and lame duck starting quarterback. They could have had Kyle Orton, but I won't go there. Anyway, the Pats are a superior team, even with the addition of Chad Ochocinco and Fat Albert Hainsworth. The Tom Brady to Wes Welker combination is basically unstoppable. Pats win, possibly in a rout. And the nightcap, the Oakland Raiders go into Invesco Field at Mile High to play the Denver Broncos. These two teams will be fighting for the middle of their division. And of course, there is the Tebow factor. Forget that the guy is openly devout Christian, and forget that his throwing mechanics aren't Peyton Manning-like. The guy wins games with his leadership and guts. John Fox knew he was there before he took the job, and knew that due to the high pick that was used to get him, that if it was good for the team, Tebow should be playing. Kyle Orton is no Peyton Manning either, but he was pretty efficient last year until he got hurt. I say play Orton until it starts to look hopeless, and then stick Tebow in there and see what he can do. As for the game, Oakland has not been good in a few years, and I don't see that changing. The Broncos have a new coach and looked good at times last year. Broncos win this one. And there you have it, this week's NFL previews and picks.